टिमहरूले आफ्नो इनिशियल ड्रप लोकेसनसम्म पुग्नको लागि त्यति गाह्रो नबन्ला। आइएचसीको टिम कहाँ जान्छ त? एलजर पनि नजिकै त रहेको थियो अहिलेको लागि। बीजेके त्यो साइडतर्फ गएको देख्दा आइएचसी
and then towards the late game you can always do the fighting later on.
I agree with you. Just a tad sooner, just moving in, disengaging a little bit sooner. I mean, that execution on a wrangle, it worked out for them pretty well. But if they had gone sooner, then I feel like they would have been able to set themselves up better within that next phase. They would have been able to have more cover, more, potential options in the next zone, and we could have seen a different result from them. But either way, I mean, they caused havoc, which I love. I love when a team just makes it so much harder for everybody else and just gives them some opportunities. So we'll see here over towards Miramar, which in terms of flight path, wow, we've got like a very northeasternly flight path all the way to a bit more of that southwestern portion. Fairly, I would say, nice. That is until we think about that zone heading all the way north. I mean, we've got water treatment, El Pozo, La Cabrera, all involved in that next zone.
Yeah, that's very, very north of a circle right there. This should be a slower start, though, as compared to that Herringo game we just had. Herringo, we start off with some, like, a hot drop with Geek, and then all a Geek fan, by the way, we didn't talk much about last game because they were the first team taken out. They tried to get that bridge compound early on, and it was actually Xavier that just came in a little bit earlier and just instantly wiped the squad. So we'll see how teams decide to rotate here. Of course, no hard rotations needing to be made this early on. There's no military base in play. There's no Los Higos, more importantly, right? The military base of Miramar, which would be... Actually, the military base of Miramar would be Minas del Sur. That is almost kind of like a military base. Have you ever been down there? The compounds?
I have. Yeah, I have.
The compounds down there.
Prison as well. Yeah, it's interesting. It's definitely interesting, but I wouldn't think a zone goes there ever.
No. It's very militaristic-esque, though, the compounds, the way it's like laid out down there. But we're not going to see that. Not today. I mean, we saw something even better yesterday. Los Higos... Yeah, but imagine a zone ending in prison on Miramar.
Ooh.
Like inside the prison building, like...
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's chaos, man. It's like that potential shelter finish on a wrangle. Like, it just would have been weird. I mean, I feel like shelter on a wrangle is even more normal than prison on Miramar.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We don't even talk about prison on Miramar in terms of, like, potential drop sites. Like, we never mention the word. We never mention the drop site. It's like... Talking about ruins and trailer park on Miramar as well, they're just so out of the way that they generally just don't get a mention. But here we have an opportunity to see the teams up into the north, see what they can bring for. And I mean, we had, like the likes of Rejects and of course, I believe that was Tem Entertainment moving into Los Leones, but they're keeping their distance. They're keeping their buffer zone. They're trying to hold it tight. This is what we were expecting on a wrangle based off yesterday's wrangle. Something more calm, collected, looking at the rotations, looking at how they can set themselves up best for that next phase.
Rightly so. Taking a look at the minimap, no teams have rotated just yet. Of course, we're not even 5 minutes into the match. Game Lord, very center of this zone. Of course, that is where they decided to start looting from, right there at Minas del Sur. We do see a Falcon team doing a split loot right around them to the northeast, also very centralized. There's a lot of different high ground positions to be taken up here in this first circle. But each high ground position, I feel like, controls their own little pocket, which can easily not be relevant whatsoever, depending on the next circle shift. This first circle, keeping a lot of dynamic playing options for many of these teams, and it's like it's a question mark circle. Where is this zone going to go? How is this match going to shape out here for everyone? And one shift, even from zone 1 into zone 2, could create a lot of chaos, because if the circle shifts past the high ground where teams have to start navigating, north, or even from north down to south, it all of a sudden makes rotations extremely difficult very early on for everyone.
I mean, just looking at the potential, right, of heading all the way north on a Miramar, heading into a little bit of that waterous, beautiful terrain there, little paradise opportunity for some of these teams, but what a chaos zone it would be. I mean, you can see most of the teams, they're not really going past, I would say, creative fields right now. We do have Geek Fam who have taken a little bit more of an eastern approach into the zone. They might be heading towards Torre Humada and have an opportunity to do a little bit of looting there. But other than that, we're not even seeing a team like really heading to La Cobreria. So they're still keeping it south. They're still waiting. I think that yesterday, Miramar, the PTSD we were talking about, when it was looking north and it was looking good, and then it hit all the way to the southern part of Los Higos. Even then more south than Los Higos, we went to the southern part of Los Higos. So
Yeah.
teams have a bit of PTSD, and they're just going to be playing it safe for now.
Falcons here rotating in from the eastern side, right past water treatment. I have a solo Falcon player here taking some shots. This was the split that the Falcons were holding down. They're going to play more on the northern half of, well, just a little bit north of the center, in a really strong position, of course. This is one of those high ground positions that control a lot of traffic and sight lines. Of course, if it goes to the west, all those sight lines are for naught, because there's another giant mountain just to the west of their position that completely blocks, all sight lines of anything that way. See Fury's Gaming here, rotating him deep in from the southeast. A lot of teams will be coming in. Here, because the circle was pretty far up north phase with a pretty decent rotation out of Picado. Picado, one of the main advantages here is that no matter where the first circle is, you do have a way into the first circle without having to worry being too late.
I mean, some great opportunities here. There's only a handful of teams that aren't really pretty safe within this first zone. I mean, I'm looking at Furious Gaming. We're still looking at Tame Entertainment, who've made quite a late rotation from Los Leones. Rejects, who also moved from Los Leones, already there towards Picado. So they've done a pretty early rotation to make sure that they, won't be caught out, which I like. I think it's a good time now to get that movement going. The rest of the teams, like Nongshim Red Force, going to be very interested to see where they end up, because we do have Genesis Dogma Kids right up ahead of them, who head up from that Bal Del Mar area. Well, it's very interesting opportunities here for some of the teams. We even see Geek Fam still heading a bit more north. And for Geek Fam particularly, I mean, Glisser mentioned it, we don't want to see them drop down to third. So this engagement now, with that potential engagement now with Train to Kill, it needs to go well for them. They need to execute this perfectly.
I don't think it'll be a full-out fight, though. Might be a little probing here and there to see if they could get a nade or a util knock. But for now, the next circle, well, I definitely don't think they're going to go for an engagement now, because they get a very nice circle. This is what I was talking about. The first circle, with the way everything is laid out, there's a lot of question marks on a lot of teams, because the second circle can instantly change the dynamic of the entire game. And with that second circle shift, now teams will finally get a decent idea of what positions to play from in order for them to, hopscotch their way into subsequent circle shifts. We are far into the northeast. There is now only probably 2 high mountaintops that is very strong, and teams will already start taking engagements, making their rotations in. Falcon, one of the Falcon players gets knocked. Supporting sightline from the top should be there. Yeah, I was waiting for it. Venturas, not sure why he decided to heal right there wide in the open. Sure, he wasn't 100% knowledgeable of where the Falcon players are, but if you catch a single player out here early on, right, at this compound, chances are the rest of the team is split across the high hills. So Venturas going down for no real reason there, FaZe making a lot of blunders. I think they made a huge blunder game 1 when they had 4 players and all of them decided to swim rather than taking the vehicle or fighting their way in. And right there, Venturas, a nice strong opening, but then not running into the building for the heal, just staying in the open, and he gets picked off.
It literally just feels like I'm looking at a bunch of question marks all over my screen right now because, like you mentioned, at Wrangle, I was like, what? Did we miss something? Did another team move on in? Why are we seeing this side of FaZe now? Also, it's a little bit precarious, but there is still that opportunity for FaZe to just tighten things up. They still have 3 players alive. They can still head on forward. They're in a very good position for the time being, but the looming threat here is that we're going to see most of those rotations moving in from the southwestern portion. Naturally so, because of just the way that the teams were making rotations. We had a few teams going west to try and get to the northern side, and now Game Lords finding Falcons here because why not? They're coming through from the south. It is expected at this point that they're going to be running into team after team after team. And right behind Falcons, it is, of course, FaZe, who now need to get some information, now need to decide how they want to handle this. Falcons, for the time being, will be pinned down, and right now, not looking great.
Really good nade out of Robs there, almost getting the knock onto the next Falcon player, and gets the confirmation. And with that confirmation, FaZe 100% knows Falcon right next door to them is getting siege. Falcon lost 1 player earlier on. FaZe could decide to third-party this potentially. Wouldn't be a bad idea. But then again, FaZe did lose 1 player. If they still had 4 up, they'd probably feel a lot more comfortable sending 1 or 2 players up to that hillside. So just take a look. Game Lords smelling the weakness right there. They'll push a little bit aggressive, get that finish right there, get your points whenever you can. Next circle comes out, goes once again to the east. Now Besiktas find themselves on top of the highest of high grounds with 4 players. That position's really strong as far as staying alive goes because teams have a really hard time pushing up there. But as far as sightlines goes, it's not the easiest position to hold to get eliminations.
I mean, Tem Entertainment just going down in the valley right alongside them, potentially heading up into the northern side. They might not really have that opportunity to head through into Tem Entertainment's direction just because of the way that the line of sight will be working, but we'll have to keep an eye out on the elimination feed to see if anything will come from that. In the meanwhile, FaZe Clan making their rotation, they've made their decision, and their decisions have led them into this position here with GK Esports. Now 1 down, already 1 has been confirmed earlier on, so FaZe up in a 2v3, at least for the time being, as 4th comes in. Oh, it's not looking good. How is this happening, FaZe? We say goodbye to them as the first team.
GK with a really strong defense, though. The support was instantly there. First player just had to stall a little bit. Of course, getting the opening knock did really help him out. But within seconds, the rest of the team came down from that high ground to help out, so that's great to see. IHC, meanwhile, well, this is what they like, right? Fighting in from the edge, fighting in from the blue zone on the northwestern side. They do have quite a few teams in front of them. It might get tricky because right on the edge, right on the cusp of the zone on the northwest is all high ground. So they're going to be doing an uphill battle pretty much if they want to break into the zone.
Yusuf, what a mission right up ahead of them. Game Lords just feeling good, looking good. I mean, they are just heading into every single engagement, and now they have Vivo keyed up ahead of them on the next potential chopping block here. A few shots have already been exchanged. Game Lords, they have this information. Vivo keyed readjusting, seeing if they can get another line of sight. We'll be interested to see if they do take a full disengagement. We have at least 1 from Vivo keyed making that dash on through. Cielo will be left on the hilltop, keeping an eye out on Game Lords. Does look like Vivo Key might circle back here for the 2-2 split.
I think they're just wrapping around there, trying to get some supporting sightlines. Game Lord actually got a very nice knock. Are they going to play aggressive off it? It doesn't look like it. They are getting kind of closer. They're going to stop at the ridgeline, which is in zone, which is a good place to stop. Of course, Cielo with a nice position to support, but it's quickly covered in the blue. They still have to deal with this Falcons player. Hopefully, they don't get knocked here. Oh, 1 player does get knocked, and it is Vivo Key that did the knock. Yeah, Vivo Key now going to pressure this in. Game Lord, all of a sudden, looking like they had the priority of the zone to looking like they are going to be the priority of Vivo Key for elimination points. Victor, last one up, and he will go down. Vivo Key, off of the 2 players sitting up in the blue to tank that damage, getting the opening. That was actually so crucial. Nice little gamble play by Vivo Key, and it worked out perfectly for them.
That's what I was saying, that 2-2 split. I thought they were prioritizing some information, some sort of a scouting path into the zone, but then they circled back, almost find the opening shots, trying to find those opening angles and see how we might start this engagement, or if they have a pathing around.
Seems like they're going to continue to wrap in from the north right now, managing to break into the high ground. The team that was in front of them, which was Geek Fam, I believe, did go down to the low ground to a stronger, more central position and in a very good compound. So IHC will have the high ground to work with, uncontested. GK, meanwhile, still just playing so strong from this position. Vivo Key, yeah, not much they could do right there. They had to go from the high ground into the dip, trying to make it to the compounds, but GK has different to say. Nongshim Red, very close by, gets a knock with the Molotov. Will this Nongshim Red play more aggressive now? They have a chance to go and come down here, and they need the elimination points as well. I'd like to see them try and go for some sort of push, even though it would be risky.
I like that we're bringing Nongshim Red more into the conversation. They have put themselves in the topic of conversation here, and a potential now to pick up a few more eliminations. GK Esports feeling the brunt of the action. Vivo keyed in a similar, what did we say yesterday? In the pressure cooker right now. As they are just getting shot at, they are feeling the heat and trying to kill. Running through now. They have been towards this position for quite some time. They've been holding ground. They've been steadily gaining information. And now they might be having a few incoming neighbors as Nongshim Red make a rotation out. Lamborghini, I believe, might actually be isolated here. Is going to be finding the first one. Has to turn around, however. The numbers advantage just looking good for Nongshim. But what's even better here is the line of sight that DXavier can utilize.
Ooh, not just DXavier, but IHC as well from the high ground. Taking some nasty shots downhill. Will be answered back, though, by the side of Geek Fam. No knocks, though, however, onto the IUC. They're going to be able to stay up here and fire off some more shots. Now looking towards Genesis Dogma. Next zone is about to shift, though. They're going to have to move off the high ground, most likely. They'll have a decent idea of the lay of the land, where teams are positioned, what position looks a little bit stronger, or in their case, a little bit weaker for them to breach into.
Geek Fam keeping their eyes out, keeping their eyes peeled on the horizon. Opportunities are there, and they do want to shape up on day number 3. Oof, what a shot. Trying to kill over into 4 a.m. as well. IHC keeping an eye out, looking for those opportunities here. Starting to see some of those eliminations. We still have 12 teams moving on into this next zone. Geek Fam in center, though, alongside Genesis Dogma with a 2-2 split again.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like Genesis playing split. It just does not seem like they're a team that really knows how to play split. When they do play split, it looks like they are actually split up, as in the synergy between the two is not there. There's no like support for each player. We'll see how this one goes out, though. They control the whole entire northeastern side if they can keep that split up without any of their players going down. I mean, the only team that's going to be pushing them really from the northeast would be Tem Entertainment that we see right here as they start wrapping more and more into the north. Yep, the 2 other players forced to give up this position, and there is that synergy. Some good supporting fire, instantly knocking the Tem Entertainment player.
Ooh, IHC. Again, you know, we were talking about the teams that might just be causing chaos, that might be bringing in the fire on Murmur. IHC were one of those teams. Look at this. With that high ground position, they just have opportunities onto virtually everyone and anyone, you know, stepping up to the block. Very reminiscent of what we saw with Rejects there into that final zone on Erangel. This time it is IHC with that high ground positioning for Angry Men. I want to talk a little bit more about them moving now in from that southeastern portion right alongside Furious Gaming. And they will be potentially just setting up camp right alongside Rejects. It might be a very interesting story there. Genesis Dogma, I think they've heard you, Zute. They are starting to group up.
Yeah. They are grouped up, but they're going to need to survive the hail of bullets from IHC up here. IHC has just been raining shots into everyone. Up to 4 eliminations. That's pretty good, as well as, some really nice shots out of Godless right there. Man, these mini 14s really coming into play on Miramar. Taking a look at the elimination feed, yeah, I see so many mini 14s. in just getting the eliminations. Wow, he even got the confirmation from all the way downrange. IHC, 5 eliminations now. Tem Entertainment looks like they're going to go on the aggressive. They had the north side, but they're going to continue chasing down Genesis Dogma. Genesis Dogma down to just 2 players. This team has been struggling so much right now. Hopefully they could get 1 back here onto this 1v1. Sazip with the DBS gets Alan down to 1 HP. Alan's going to go for the first aid kit. You can't go for a first aid kit in that situation. He's going to push you. That is Genesis Dogma out with 0 eliminations, 11 plays. Not much many, or not any placement points either.
That nade just going right past 4 Angry Men. Furious Gaming trying to apply that pressure, but look at this, right behind Furious Gaming, it is Besiktas. And obviously they are hearing what's happening here. They're starting to close that gap. They're trying to keep on an idea of what they could make happen here. And here it is. Milo's going to be the first member to go down. Furious Gaming have suddenly put themselves in a sandwich between 4 Angry Men and Besiktas, and I do not see a way for them to get themselves out of this.
Oh man, this is going to be tough for Furious Gaming. Oh, even tougher now that Besiktas is the one pushing, being the aggressors right here. 4 a.m. They should have a decent idea that it's not just one team they're fighting, not when there's 4 more heads peeking over, pushing so aggressively. Besiktas, this is a great play for them though, because the next zone, they're going to have to contest 4 a.m. either way, and why not do it now when they have the advantage of more of the high ground nades being thrown in. None really connecting. 4 a.m. did get that full reset. They're still looking like they're in a rough spot. Svan, honestly, is the player that's going to be providing the most amount of support and holding this pushback onto his team.
Besiktas moving on in. They are looking for some opportunities. 4 Angry Men still holding the high ground, or the low ground rather, as they are trying to defend against the high ground. Besiktas moving in. Furious Gaming still a potential threat. At least 1 member of Furious Gaming. We'll see if they do choose to let their positions be known for a few potential eliminations or rejects. Move on in. In the meantime, I mean, as we speak about rejects, they have a focus here onto Train to Kill, finding Jane, and Besiktas moving into 4 Angry Men.
Good resilience out of the rejects team. They are down to 2 players. I think we probably missed it like a full-on crash onto the team. They actually, maybe not. They only have 3 eliminations, so I don't think a team fully crashed. I'm surprised they lost 2 players from those compounds then. So there is a lot of, hard cover there. Maybe the angles were just too much from all the other high ground positions. 4 a.m. still continue to fight with Besiktas. See right here, Geek right, giving up that high ground way early on is going to pay out for them, as now it is IHC on the high ground having to push in. Garlas with a nice knock, but 2 of their players having to move in goes down, and the other 2 on the higher positions, the more safe positions, well, they're not in zone. They're going to have to go down just as well. Hopefully they can make it in. Here's that full out 4v4 engagement. 4 a.m. has actually taken control of some of the high ground, putting this more to an even fight. Besiktas allowing this 4 a.m. team to get closer to them. Good crossfire, however, gets 1 down. Here comes the trade, and another one, and Besiktas, they look like they were going to be the ones to control this high ground position, but somehow they backed up just enough for 4 a.m. to take an inch. And we've heard the saying, you give these teams an inch, they will take a mile. They will take your entire team. Oh, Tem Entertainment, I like this, the aggression. This team, that's what this team needs. They're coming in for the third party, and there we go. The more aggressive team that executes correctly will come out on top, and now Tem Entertainment controls the whole entire eastern side of the map. I mean, there is still Savan left way down there in the low ground, but he's not going to be much of a threat now.
Oh, this is beautiful. Tem Entertainment riding on a high with 5 eliminations, potentially 6, as, Savan actually will be going the way of rejects. So there we go, 4 Angry Men back in the lobby. We've got Tem Entertainment now just riding on a high. We've got rejects as well. Feeling good, but unfortunately, that zone is going to mean that all of the teams except for Geek Fam need to make a rotation. IHC, who have been doing so well on this high ground, now in a bit of an obstacle here. They still have an opportunity to put that pressure onto D Xavier, but at some point, they have to run down the mountaintop in view of Geek Fam.
Yeah, I think IHC is definitely going to leave at least one player in the blue to try and confirm those eliminations onto Xavier. We saw earlier they didn't have vehicles and them just running in. Yeah, Geek Fam is not going to let that happen. Not a chance. And there's no team that's really going to push. Actually, there's a chance Tem Entertainment with 4 is going to full send it and crash over onto the Geek Fam compound, which would give IHC an opening, but not likely to happen. Tem Entertainment nailing the shots onto Rejects right now. Last player of Rejects Willow in the little bus. Too slow for comfort. That might even been Geek Fam to take that one. We're down to 4 teams. Xavier is about to go out here. IHC also about to more than likely go out here. It's going to come down to a 4v4 between Tem Entertainment and Geek Fam.
I see Vikoi coming through as the solos for their respective squads, trying to keep the name alive, trying to get those points. You can see Icy at this point in time with the options that they have limited, just seeing if they can get another elimination before things get really crazy would be the best possible situation here. Unfortunately, going to have to make that run, and Damn Root will be ready for it. Tem Entertainment, Geek Fam. This is what an interesting conclusion to Miramar. Tem Entertainment, an opportunity for them to climb the ranks. Geek Fam, an opportunity for them to finally change things up.
Vichoi actually makes it out, and he's going to have his high ground to play with, uncontested. Playing loud, too, as a solo, taking some shots, really pressuring that team back, and I think for good reason, because Tem Entertainment looked like they thought they could wrap around to the high ground and get an angle onto Geek. So Vichoi having to play very loud, very aggressive, acting like more than just a solo player. Now with this new zone shift, Geek Fam gets the zone. Tem Entertainment might decide they will go a straight shot approach and just push right into Geek Fam. If it was not for Vichoi firing back so loudly, because the better play, I mean, we could see it here, is Tem Entertainment. They wrap around to the high ground, get some angles, and then push in, but they don't know that player of Vichoi is a solo player. They might think it's actually, you know, Geek a little bit more spread out, and there's a solo player elsewhere.
And now, what's brilliant about this, as you mentioned, Vichoi, they've cut off that rotation for Tem Entertainment. They have to either get into the open, get into the grasslands, use the hay bales quite literally for cover, or pretty much what else are you supposed to do? You can't really take that engagement and then potentially expose yourself to that zone rotation later on, and here it is. Geek Fam, they're going to get that information onto both Xavier and Tem Entertainment. They've got a beautiful split. They're in zone. They have the advantage. Can they make it out?
I almost wish the zone did not shift off of Vichoi here. He is also going to have to come off the mountaintop, and as a solo, there's not much that he can do. Tem Entertainment, they have a player in the next zone at that shack.
Ooh.
But it's not much to work with. Vichoi down to 1 HP. Oh, nade coming in, falling just a little bit short. He's going to get that first aid off. What is Vichoi going to do, though? He's got to pick north or south. Which team is he going to look at? Or is he in zone at the very cusp, on the very edge, on the tip top of that mountain? We'll find out in just a few seconds. He might actually be in zone up here.
Yeah. Ooh, Snipes keeping to the namesake, finding Mormon. Yuhai trying to, again, to the namesake, just up high on the rooftop, looking for an opportunity here to Tem Entertainment. They've reduced down to 3. They have found Xavier, so this will come down to Tem Entertainment and Geek Fam.
Geek Fam with so much control. This player, Mika, the top fragger out of Geek Fam, can also wrap down to the west and just really pincer them in. Yeah, Tem Entertainment. Oh, nice snipe, though, by Nexus. That's going to knock down Yuhai. A shot right back. Yeah, Darude very smartly wrapping to the east, getting that high ground. Great position, but great trade from wide in the open. That is 2 down for the side of Geek Fam. This is a 2v2. All of a sudden, Mika's already pushed up too far to run back for the revives, and Mika goes down. Geek Fam looking like they were in such a great position, starting to fall apart. Yuhai did get revived. Snipes, however, it means that Snipes was not there to support Mika for a trade. Mika, the top fragger for Geek, the top eliminator for the entire of week number 3, taken out. Now things slow back down. Tem Entertainment's time to get that revive in. 3v2 situation. Nexus still rocking that sniper, even this late into the game, this close in the game. Geek is starting to get out-angled. Nexus on the right side. The rest of the team spreading out on the left side. Geek Fam all of a sudden on the back foot. They need at least one opening knock to bring things back to a stalemate of a 2v2. U-High goes down. It's not looking good. And Tem Entertainment, where has this team been this entire time? That aggressive push out on the eastern side onto 4 a.m. Never have I seen Tem Entertainment play that decisive, that aggressive when it's not completely necessary. And just from that alone, we're seeing a new Tem Entertainment coming into day number 3. I was saying day 1 and day 2 pretty much kind of sets the stage, and day 3 is where teams just hit the grind. Well, Tem Entertainment, they're coming in on day 3 now, swinging out of nowhere, getting a 4v4 onto 4 a.m. Not easy. Winning a 4v4 against Geek Fam from a disadvantaged position, in my opinion, even more difficult, and they took it. Really great win for Tem Entertainment.
I mean, we have to remind ourselves, going into this engagement, it was 4 Angry Men in pole position. It was Geek Fam in second place. Tem Entertainment is sitting all the way in 13th and took on both of those teams and won it out.
Yeah, that's the first place team and the second place team that they just won 4v4s against. Man, I can't wait to see what else Tem Entertainment can do.
Bust out a much-needed chicken dinner here. 26 total points to the store. Geek Fam, the squad that we've seen in first place on day 1, day 2, finally putting up some bigger points. And Deke Xavier putting up some consistent points on the board here, Glitter.
You know, huge shout out to Tem Entertainment for closing that one out. We're going to talk, or at least I'm going to talk about Geek Fam a little bit later. D Xavier, though, continuing this consistent upward trend, and this is actually huge because the team that was right above them, Vivo Keyed, all the way down there in 10th with not too many points. This will give D Xavier the opportunity to climb up the leaderboard some more. And IHC, a team that we talked about at the top of the show as being much more consistent, having a really solid score here. And even though they didn't do fantastically, the aggression consistency that we're seeing out of 4 Angry Men, out of Geek Fam, I mean, those Elam points are going to be massive when it comes to staying in the top 3-7.
100%. It will be massive now with this head-to-head. I mean, IHC being able to get those 6 eliminations. We heard about them trying to just narrow it down on their last zone gameplay. I have yet to see that, but you know what? Godless, 6 eliminations, 1,400 damage. That's some of the most damage we have actually seen from a player. And then on 6, he's being able to get 5 elims with 548. That's great conversion right there. And going back to Tem, I mean, that team had to travel a lot. We saw it in the graphic there when the casters were talking about it. They had, I think, at least 4,000 more meters than anybody else that was in the top 4. That was ridiculous. And I also loved Glitter. You were talking about D Xavier and how some of the teams that they're trying to catch up weren't really performing that well. Same for Tem. I mean, they're trying to catch up Game Lord. They're trying to catch up Furious Gaming. Those teams were only able to get, I think it was 2 or 3 points. So I can't wait to see that overall hot juice.
Yes. As soon as you said it, I got excited because honestly, this is going to get so close. And I'm saying, you guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this quick break. everybody from everywhere around the world. I hope you guys are having a great day today. Showing up, no matter what time zone you are in, you guys are the real heroes. I'm your host, Hot Chooks, here with 7WG and Glitter Explosion. Of course, the show couldn't be done possible without our sponsor, Sony, with their Xperia 1.4 and Xperia Stream. They were created in collaboration with professional esports players. You guys can play PUBG Mobile in 90 hertz with Xperia Stream's total cooling system and multiple ports for intensive gaming. Also, gotta give a big shout out to our platinum sponsor, Prime Gaming. You guys can get some awesome PUBG Mobile in-game items, other Prime benefits, and some exclusive rewards as well. So go check out Prime Gaming today. All right. Well, we talked about it earlier. Those overall leaderboards. I'm gonna see them shake up real good here in just a second, and I'm gonna see which team really jumped up the most so far. Four Angry Men still up there. Reject have pushed themselves up to 4th place, and Xavier, we finally see them on the first page here, 7.
Xavier, with that performance they're being able to put up, jumping up for that first page. This is what I was talking about. They keep setting themselves up to be able to reach those teams that are in 3rd place. And then Reject being able to jump up from 7th place all the way up to 3. That's great. GK Esports, I mean, they continue to go down because teams are just being able to outperform them. And a big one and a big shocker for me, Glitter, Beshitas, they also keep going down. They're currently not having one of their best days.
Yeah, and those points on that first page are so close that I think we're actually going to start seeing lots of back and forth today. But maybe you're looking at the same things I'm looking at. First of all, one FaZe Clan dropping off of that first page, going below Xavier after that performance. We talked about Vivo Keed also being above them, and now they've been leapfrogged. But Tem Entertainment, we talked about how one massive performance makes a huge difference in the overall leaderboard. Tem Entertainment all the way up into top 11 now, which is where they want to be, at least for the survival stage, because that's very, very important. You don't want to get eliminated in this group stage. It's not where you want to be. And now heading into Sandhawk, this is one of those opportunities where it could be anybody's game 7. So it could change things up yet again.
Oh my goodness. The most toxic map in PUBG Mobile. Look at these top Sandhawk performers. 7, what do you see?
I see GK Esports. I see them being one of the second best team in Sandhawk, and I'm hoping they're going to be able to take advantage of that, because if not, they're just going to keep sliding down that leaderboard, and they might get into a position where maybe some of the other teams are going to end up passing it. Who knows? We'll have to wait to see. For Angry Men, I am looking for them to capitalize as well on that Sandhawk. I mean, that's where yesterday they were able to get that kind of win streak going with the first place and those 15 eliminations. But I'm also going to be going at this Xavier, Glitter. I know you were talking about them when we were watching that game. That's not their strongest map.
Yes, it isn't. And I'll tell you what. When it comes to Xavier, for everybody watching, top 3 is the goal. They're only 20 points away from 3rd place. But I'm not talking about teams that are doing good, 7. I think it's about time we talk about the teams that are throwing, right? Sandhawk, the most toxic map. I want to see some of that 7 toxicity come out. Keep it real. Tell the people right now which teams are on your X list.
Okay, out of the teams that are throwing from my list, it's definitely not 4 Angry Men. I mean, they might be throwing a tiny bit in a way that they could definitely have a bigger gap, especially after that first game. But FaZe Clan, I'm going to be looking at them. We saw it perfectly on that overall. They're currently in the 2nd page. Now, Furious Gaming, I've been calling this team out since yesterday. I've been saying, hey, a lot of teams are starting to catch up to you because you guys aren't really being able to get any points. For them, they were able to maintain that 11th place because everybody below them was actually throwing. That's not the case. Now they are the team that are throwing. And for you, Glitter, which one's throwing? Geek Fam, maybe?
Yeah, it's definitely Geek Fam. I mean, for Agreement, obviously this is their opportunity to kick off. Again, Xavier has been just doing nothing but rising through the ranks. But Geek Fam, they started being aggressive in that last match, and they did not close out, which should have been an easy win for them. I mean, it was a straight up 2v2, and they essentially let the zone beat them. That's not what we're looking for. I said it before. They first place on day 1, second place day 2. They don't want to go down into 3rd place or worse on day 3 and then be stuck in day 4 fighting, scraping for whatever place they can get. They are better than this, and I would like to see that.
Preach, Glitter. All right, well, you know what? Here we go. Let's take it on over to our casters for some Sandhawk action.
we're heading into Sandhawk now. It's only starting to heat up. We're seeing what Tim Entertainment can do. This is a team that's not necessarily have been playing terrible by any means, but they've just been kind of just in the mix of things, not making any huge plays, not making anything explosive happen. But man, they took down the first place team and the second place team in back-to-back 4v4s on that last Miramar match.
Oh, it was good. I mean, we were talking about it in the break. Just the fact is that they were so quick with those trades. They looked so poised and, like, calm. But that's the biggest thing for me. They were so calm in a situation where they had no advantage. Geek Fam was basically center zone in that last phase. They had the high ground. They had compounds. They had hard cover. I had to say it. Tim Entertainment were hiding behind hair bales. That's what they had to work with. And they made it work. Come on. I mean, just beautiful, beautiful work from them. But now we're heading into Sandhawk, a map that we know historically it can be a little bit chaotic. Yeah. And Falcons, they brought in that substitute.
Yeah, this is going to be a completely different game from the Miramar match. Tim Entertainment, let's see if they can keep that up. And yeah, Falcons making that sub in now. Maybe we'll see that super sub effect where they will pick up maybe a chicken dinner, maybe pick up, a decent performance. But we'll see very soon as Sandhawk are getting into it.
You can see the Falcons picking up last in the place of Powerful. Actually have their POV on the left-hand side. So they will be picking up potentially some of that, as you said, super sub action, that super sub energy onto a map like Sandhawk, jumping on into the flight path from that northeastern side all the way to the southwest. Very even. I mean, it's Sandhawk. It's not like it's huge. They have massive opportunities to make those rotations. But will we be getting those hot drops? We saw some crazy hot drop action yesterday. Will the teams actually adjust for today?
Seems like there's not going to be any straight up hot drops. Maybe some little split drop contestants. That's not typical on Sandhawk, but we've been seeing that more and more of that throughout the just duration of PMGC in general. It used to be, hot drops, on either boot camp or Paradise, and then it slowly evolved to teams just getting more familiar with, different split drops, and that's led to some split drop contestants. This time around, though, it looks like we will be okay. And once again, if you guys did not know, Captain Messi is joining the PUBG Mobile Battlefield. Packed with the Messi football icon set, it's going to help you stand out on the battleground. Grab them in PUBG Mobile now.
Oh, yes, indeed. It looks sick. I mean, I've been watching that advertisement back and forwards, and it's looking fantastic. So if you do want to wrap it up, go check out PUBG Mobile right now for that Captain Messi pack. But here we go. You were talking about those split drops. Genesis Dogma, I mean, if you want to talk about split, they are more split than any other team I can see. We've got one over towards Cave, we've got one member over towards Dogs, we've got one member over towards Lakawe, we've got one member in the middle of Lakawe and Cave. So yeah, Genesis Dogma right now, very, very split up. It is still very early on Sandhawk. That zone has hit all the way to the northern side, and actually we didn't even get to talk about that. That northern side, look how much water is involved already on a tiny map like Sandhawk.
Yeah, this is a very northern circle. And if we want to talk about splits, I mean, everybody is split up. This looks like a bingo board almost, where you just can't seem to win. But every little dot is basically taken up. Like 4 a.m. right here, you can see one player in Lakawe driving away, the other player all the way up in Mong Nai. That is the middle point of the Sandhawk map, all the way to the north of Sandhawk. Besiktas, they have one player all the way just a little bit east of boot camp, right? The very first compound you see east of boot camp, you have one player there. And then you have here, Besiktas on screen taking a fight. This is like in Bond. So I was just saying, and this was before we saw how split everyone was, where I was talking about, over the evolution of time, Sandhawk has transitioned from boot camp hot drops to look for loot, teams have to contest because the map's so small, to teams just eventually spreading out all across the map and looting every little possible nook and cranny they can, rather than taking a straight up 4v4 hot drop fight.
But now this has resulted already in Furious Gaming losing out Milos and now Milovan in a similar situation up against Nongshim Red Force. And for Nongshim, I feel like we've had some very good introductions to them over the course of the last 2 maps. You know, they started off really strong on a wrangle up against FaZe, picked up a few eliminations. Before that, I think it was Game Lord that they picked up. Then here, now looking potentially towards Furious Gaming. We'll see if they can actually turn that around into a few extra eliminations. Ultimately, do you want to see a bit more from them? Because we know they've had a few tough days. They've had a little bit of a tough start, but
yeah,
maybe
extremely tough start for Nongshim Red. Down in last place with a 20-point gap, no less, onto the 15th place. But if they are trying to make it into the survival stage, it is not impossible. The thing is, with teams hovering near the bottom survival stage, their point average isn't all too good. So it's not like each game that point gap is going to increase by a huge amount. Whereas if you're trying to make it into the top 3, well, those teams, their point average per game, if you have one bad game and they have a decent game, all of a sudden you're looking at another 20 points you have to cover. So still doable for Nongshim. They still got reasons to fight. Besiktas right here, grouping up together after that huge initial split, and they are playing blitzkrieg style here, driving around and taking a fight with whoever they hear first. Honestly, not a bad idea because of teams being so split up. That just means if they do get into engagement, it's not going to be, or chances are it's not going to be a full-out 4v4 with the rest of the enemy team close by. It might be, one other player 100 meters off that you have to worry about. But with that blitzkrieg style, second you hear shots, you stop, you hop out, you fight as forward. Chances are you're going to get that point, and you're going to be able to get the revives in as well.
And you're probably going to get out of that situation relatively unscathed if you do win that one out. So Besiktas is just looking for those early eliminations, early points. I mean, at the very least, you're setting yourself a fantastic foundation. Few eliminations, coupled with a few placements, that brings you into that consistent performance, metric. Then you can take that further. Then you can bring, forward those crazy games that mean you can make massive leaps on the overall leaderboard. But it all starts with that fantastic foundational points. So now Besiktas coming through from that southern side, going to be one of the last teams to join us there, as a few of the others, well, they still have to make quite a far rotation. We saw Genesis Dogma earlier, all the way from Docks and Kampong having to make a rotation. Tem Entertainment just leaving off of Cave, a little bit closer towards Quarry now, right up ahead of them. It could be IHC. And of course, Rejects just below Bootcamp, DXavier all the way by Tambang. And GK Esports have just crossed Painan. So, yeah, rotations going to be the name of the game.
Especially with the zone being so far north. We haven't seen a circle this far north for these teams yet. So they're not going to be too familiar with how teams play their splits up in the north, especially for teams that, initially drop in the north. That's the biggest worry for many of these teams that already have priority positions. There's a lot of interesting splits that can be had. Rejects looking like they're setting up a trap. GK, though, pulling up together as a team, 2 players in the back with that cover fire. Now, this area of the circle, not even in zone, but GK is still playing to their fundamentals, which is having players cover for any ridge lines they go up. And that's going to let GK, not lose any players, and they're going to circle back around and go for a wider rotation. But that's going to cause them to run right into the likes of IHC here. And this is probably a scarier team to run into than the likes of Rejects. IHC, a much more dangerous team when it comes to raw firepower. They will pick up 1. They will pick up 2. GK, which a team that started off so strong in day number 1. Ever since then, they have been falling down and down and down. You see that in the overall leaderboard. 7th place. Now 7th place with only 2 members left.
Reduced down to 2, making that rotation and still getting shot at. It is not looking good for GK Esports here. They don't really have some time to let up, so at least these compounds will provide an opportunity, hopefully, to get some extra loot, extra ammo, extra meds, extra utilities. Definitely would be great to add on, because from this point on, their journey is going to be treacherous. We can see a few other teams making rotations. DXavier, hello, rotation. We don't often see this one on Sandhawk, but here they are, making that way through, and still out in the blue. Quite a far rotation they're going to have to make.
This is all the way in the southwest. That's a lot of blue damage that they're going to have to eat. This player almost got bandages. Frankie, with only bandages now. He does have a max boost in hand, which is going to come in handy. But this zone is going to start chunking. Luckily, they get out of it. But man, the increased blue zone damage on Sandhawk, that you do not want to find yourself caught in that. Geek Fam also doing a rotation there on that northern side right there. About to come into the edge of zone. Might swing into Cal as their first initial rotation. But the team of 4AM setting up in Cal too. So that could be a potential problem for the side of Geek Fam.
If they do just take more of an eastern approach on that north side, they hopefully should be able to find those few compounds there that are split up. Among the rest, there's no real teams towards that northeastern portion, so if they can get there quicker, they should be able to get a bit of an opportunity here. It looks like, I guess, the fuel ran out in the boat, making a bit of a swim.
Or potentially 4AM took some shots.
All that, yeah.
Yeah, the boat's so easy to be damaged that the second you hear shots, you need to get out of that boat immediately. Yeah, 4AM definitely did see that boat and took some shots. That's why Geek Fam had to eject. And now Xavier about to meet the same fate. We're going to see 8 teams swimming. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, Swan out here, keeping an ever watchful eye. He's actually not going to shoot. Xavier sees that boat and is like, wait, this looks...
They know.
This looks a little weird. And here we go. Here comes that boat ejection. And yeah, that boat instantly blown up. Now we got 8 players in the water swimming. 4 a.m. You could go on a little fishing trip. Maybe if the circle shifts north, 4 a.m. could just chill here and just farm the water. It's a little bit difficult, though. It's a bit of a distance for them to farm, but not difficult enough.
Fun.
Yeah, it's fun. This guy, long range for 4 a.m. We've seen Savon with the Mini, with the QBU, always a player in the back providing that cover fire, and he's been nailing his shots.
What a storyline potential end here for Xavier. And then, I mean, that consideration has to be Geek Fam as well. Right now, yes, you can see the entire C4AM laying siege to Xavier. Their time is ticking, but does that mean they're just going to leave Geek Fam to swim to shore?
Yeah, I think
I'm not seeing anything with Geek Fam.
They're very focused right now on Xavier. I mean, with good reason. They're finding all these eliminations. So Geek Fam is going to be able to swim to shore on the eastern side. Unless if Swan looks a little bit further east and manages to spot some heads bobbing in the water, which Geek Fam should better hope does not happen. Because 4 a.m., they get the circle. So 4 a.m., they're going to be staying here regardless. So if one head is spotted onto Geek Fam, that's going to swing over some more attention from the rest of the 4 a.m. players to pick up more free eliminations.